Hollywood is a century-old business that has been historically problematic and exploitative of people of color from the beginning of its rise. Hollywood has been responsible for creating the universal truth and soul narrative of its characters, and this becomes problematic for people of color when the industry is run by white people. We see this playing out prominently for Asians post-World War II, a time of Western imperialism dominance in Asian countries. This was done by the Hollywood production of Asian stereotypes of the Lotus Blossom and Dragon Lady, both diminishing Asian values and supporting the exoticization of Asian women and the desexualization of Asian men through further stereotyping in film. The Lotus Blossom is passive, overly feminine, submissive, and delicate, and we see this portrayal in the musical Miss Saigon. Set in the Vietnam War, the story focuses on an American GI and his love story with an innocent, passive Vietnamese prostitute. This stereotype gained traction during the feminist movement of sexual liberation in the 60s, which only offers sexual liberation to white women. The archetype of the Lotus Blossom infantilizes and hypersexualizes the diverse community of Asian women. This stereotype in film and media was the start of the fetishization of compliant and submissive Asian women, and it's deeply rooted in imperialism that needs to be eliminated. Another stereotype of Asian women is the Dragon Lady stereotype, portrayed as cold, calculating, and threatening, using her exaggerated sexuality to manipulate men. This stereotype was started by the Yellow Peril, portraying Asians as sinister and something to be afraid of, posing as a threat to the West. The portrayals of the Dragon Lady makes Asian women lose their morality, whose only existence is as sexual threats, threatening Western dominance. This stereotype is depicted in the 1985 film Year of the Dragon. The film follows Stanley White as he tries to take down Chinese organized crime in New York City. White encounters Tracy Zhu, who is portrayed as an exotic, powerful woman, seducing the married Mr. White. Zhu's disregard of marriage not only demonstrates her lack of morality, but also the competition of Asian women for the white male gaze. The numerous scenes of Zhu topless or entirely naked in her apartment feeds to the male gaze and further sexualizes and dehumanizes her. For backing of the Yellow Peril during the Japanese economic power in the 80s, these films portraying the Dragon Lady is used to alarm the public, but is quickly stopped by the white hero, reinforcing Western dominance. Stereotyping of Asians in Western media isn't just for Asian women. Hollywood's racist stereotyping of Asian men is also prominent in film, and this is seen in the 1984 film 16 Candles. The portrayal of Long Duc Dong is made to seem undesirable and creeping on the white female protagonist. This depiction of the undesirable stereotype of Asian men is deeply rooted in patriarchy. White Americans were in fear of Asian workers stealing their jobs during the early Chinese immigration. Therefore, they encouraged legislations that pushed Asian immigrants to work in industries not occupied by white men, such as hand laundries and restaurants, traditionally seen as women's work, instead of mining and other labor industries, which the white men occupied. Asian Americans account for 5.6% of the total population in America, and this percentage of Asians is larger in media production-dominated cities such as Los Angeles, Toronto, and Vancouver, 14%, 38%, and 45% respectively. With these large percentages of Asian identities, only 3.4% of all roles in film in 2017 were Asian, while whites made up 77% when only 60% of the American population is white. The lack of Asian representation in Western media makes millions of Asian North Americans feel underrepresented, creating internalized racism as they never see themselves on screen. Asian characters bring depth and history to storylines, but often Hollywood will cast white actors to play Asian roles and characters. The casting of white actors to play Asian characters goes back centuries in Hollywood history, in films such as Breakfast at Tiffany, where Mr. Yunioshi, with a loud and thick accent, played by Mickey Rooney. The practice of casting ethnically white actors to play Asian characters with yellowface takes the opportunity away for authentic Asian representation and the chance for ethnic Asian actors to be seen on screen. This practice is still going on in modern media. The film Ghost in Shell, based on the Japanese manga, and instead of casting an ethnic Japanese actor, the protagonist is played by Scarlett Johansson, who is white. The 2015 film Aloha casted the white actress Emma Stone to play Allison Ning, who is partially of Vietnamese descent. Furthermore, Marvel's Doctor Strange casted Tilda Swinton to play the Ancient One, who is supposed to be a Tibetan monk, now being portrayed by a white woman. In addition to white casting, Hollywood is oblivious to the different Asian ethnicities that exist, casting Asian characters interchangeably for any Asian ethnicity. This practice presents Asia as a monolith with interchangeable cultures, when in fact it is diverse and rich in history. Although the portrayal of Asians in media today has improved and there is the push for more authentic representations, problems still exist in present films. To All the Boys I've Loved Before, a romantic comedy produced by Netflix, casted a fully Asian actress to play the protagonist Lara Jean, which was a Hollywood first for romantic comedies. But the way the movie addresses race is no less than problematic. First, Lana Condor, the actress that plays Lara Jean, is Vietnamese, when Lara Jean is half Korean, showing Hollywood's tokenism in casting Asian actors. Secondly, the film's only half Asian character, Lara Jean's mom, is completely absent from the film as she is deceased in the storyline. This film also falls into one of Hollywood's favorite tropes, interracial relationships where one of the partners is white. The film does not go into and explore Lara Jean's identity of being mixed and the cultural struggles one typically goes through, leaving an abundance of Asian North Americans feel underrepresented. Another example of Asian representation being erased by Hollywood and modern media is the film Minari, which follows a Korean family's immigration journey to Arkansas, a Central American story that a lot of Asian Americans can identify with. Even though the film is directed by Americans, with the lead actor being an American, and produced by an American production company, the film was still categorized as a foreign language film. The reason given for this categorization is that the film is primarily in Korean, even though the film Glorious Bastards, which was in German, French, and Italian, was categorized as an American film. This incident is largely rooted in the idea that Asian Americans are still seen as foreign and outsiders when we are an essential part of North American life and society. For decades, Asians have been depicted in Western media as something evil, sinister, and foreign, and with enough of these inaccurate and hurtful portrayals, it becomes the truth for the ignorant, thus giving them the excuse to be blatantly racist and discriminatory towards Asians everywhere. This video was created to bring a new perspective when seeing Asian actors on screen and to educate and bring awareness to the history of Asian representation in media and hope to change the narrative for Asian Americans. Thank you for watching.